This conference will now be recorded.
All right, I'd like to thank everyone for joining me for this quick little live trading. As I mentioned over the last week or two, that I wanted to show you this account a lot more so you can see how I can change this situation from a negative to a positive and do it in a very short period of time. Even when things like your P&L year to date looks bad or your buying power is a little off than where you want it to be, how you can turn that around and outperform the market very, very quickly. So with that said, jumping into this account, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do today really quickly. The looking at this account, I'm looking at the year to date, and let me just delete that and go like this. This year to date, which is not too great. This buying power, which is not too great, and but this extrinsic is really good, meaning that this is how much I can still make based on the positions that I have on, and most of these positions expire within the next 23 days. So if I can get even half of that, then obviously this is going to change dramatically, and it should outperform the market. If I get about let's say I get 68% of that one standard deviation, then I'm going to be up 30% on the year, which it would be, the market would really have to be going up quite a bit over the next 3 weeks for that to be the case. So we'll see how this plays out. Um, this is um, this is the delta that I'm looking at right now, which is -10 in this account, and I am looking to add some delta, some positive delta, and do it for no buying power. So it's several things that you can do, and if I wanted to increase this buying power, it's a few things I can do as well. So one of the quickest ways to do it is lesson 8 when we talk about hedging. If I put on this micro future, which they didn't have the option for this kind of stuff in small accounts before. You only had the E-minis, which was too big for a small account like this. And so they came out with the micros sometime mid last year, early last year. Well, if you do this micro, if I buy this, this could change my buying power by 700, right? So double the buying power at this point if I wanted to buy that. Right, and I can also add some, and that will give me 5 long deltas, so that will cut my deltas in half right away. If I wanted to add some long delta, we talk about in lesson 4 how you can, adjust by doing roll-ups, roll-aways, things like that. If I wanted to look for that, I can look to roll up something in this ES. And when I was looking at this, I wouldn't want to roll up anything in this 23-day area because this is still pretty high. Let me show you what the delta on this is really quickly so you can see what I'm talking about. All right, so that delta is at a 30, so I'm not going to roll that up. And when I'm looking at stuff with the 30 days to go, the puts there are at the 6th, but when I try to roll these up to gain some long delta, this is a 100-point wide spread. You can see that just buying this back is going to mess up with the deltas, obviously, because that's going to make me more long. But if I put this back on, say I put it at the 12 delta here, the closest 12 delta at the money, and I sell the 29.80. Excuse me, buy the 29.80. So 100 points wide, and it's going to give me 75, increase the buying power by $75 after fees at 66, but I would increase I would receive 146. So this is actually a pretty good trade. And if I wanted to figure out how much the deltas will change on this, it's probably going to change based on this. They don't show this correctly on the futures here. So given a rough estimate on what I'm doing, if I take this 12 delta, the short, and the long delta, the 6, minus that, so it's going to be +6 divided by 2 is 3. This is probably going to give me 2 to 3 deltas, long deltas. So I could go from 8, a -10 to a -8 or -7 ballpark figure there if I put this on, and obviously that will increase my extrinsic here. So I could do some of this kind of stuff in the NQ as well, but just for time purposes, I'm going to look at if I wanted to also just add another contract, right? You can always start by rolling up and so forth, but if I wanted to add another contract, let's say I wanted to go to the closest 7 delta and I wanted to sell the 2840 and buy, buy the 2840 after I sell that. So this is a standard trade first. I'm doing that, do the standard trade. It's going to give me just a little buying power. The credit on there is going to be 178. So this is all kind of figuring out, okay, which way do you think is best? Is that roll up the better option? Is adding this contract here? If I do 2, what does it look like? It's still increasing my buying power. I'm getting 346 now. What if I bring it in a little bit? What would that look like? So it actually decreased the increase that was going to give me, but I'm still getting 776. So it's a number of different things that you can actually do here. So in this case, because I want to increase the buying power as well, I'm going to do that first trade that I talked about, and I'm going to buy this E-mini future, and it's going to give me the buying power that I need, and it's going to cut these deltas in half, and you'll see it cut these deltas in half right away. So it's going to at least cut it in half. So let's send that, and we're going to buy that. And there we go. So now you see the deltas cut in half. You see the option buying power going up. So if the market goes down, I'm still going to be okay. If the market goes up, I'm going to be better than I was before I put on that position. And if I still wanted to add something, I can probably do a roll up for little to no buying power. But just for time purposes, I'm going to leave it at that and see how this plays out, and then maybe tomorrow we'll look at this again, or maybe on Friday we'll look at this again. All right, so any questions before we conclude this quick little review of this account? If you have a question, please unmute your mic.
So what was, I'm sorry, I didn't follow the purpose for buying the E-mini. What was the purpose? I mean, I know it reduced your delta, and that was all you were trying to do. You're not trying to make any type of premium on there or anything like that?
No, I'm not trying to make any monies on that. I'm just trying to reduce my delta. So as you know, delta measures your 2 things, your directional risk and your probability of success. When you're looking at delta up here, this is your delta risk. So at that point, the delta risk was -10, and I have a lot of extrinsic here. I'm just trying to get majority of this extrinsic so it can change this ball game here within the next 3 weeks, right? Because most of this stuff expires in the mid-February. So I trying to reduce my delta risk, so I just bought that bought that micro future, and it increased my buying power, right? So it doubled my buying power, or a little over doubled my buying power. So that helped in 2 ways, and I didn't really care about getting a little bit more premium because I already have a lot of premium I can still make in that extrinsic there. So I was just trying to make this I guess less directional for this account right now. So just in case, the Fed comes out and we go back to the highs that we were earlier today. We go back to we were a lot higher in both of these. So I wanted to protect that. And if we go down, this short delta is still going to help if it goes down. And I just don't think we're going to go down very much recently. This market has been resilient. I could be wrong, but if I'm wrong, I still have some protection to help me at least the initial move as that market goes down.
So that mini is basically a hedge?
That mini is a hedge, exactly. It's a hedge. So whenever you have long obviously if you have too long, your deltas are too long or too short, and you sell something to change that up, you're reducing your risk, but obviously you're gaining a probably, the potential to make more money because you actually selling something, you're getting a credit. So in this case, I already have enough in, just my opinion, I already have enough of this right now. So I wanted to just reduce the overall risk immediately. And best way that was going to do that is going to and give me my buying power was buying that E-mini, that
And how
micro
do you
E-mini.
win? How do you win if that micro? I mean, if it behaves the way you want it to act? I mean, how do you, I guess, close
So
it
I want to
or?
lose on it, right? I want to lose on it, but I just say that that micro goes up 100. The S&P goes up 100, right? Well, I'm
Hmm.
gonna lose. I'm gonna lose on that one we just put on. I'm gonna lose. It's gonna be 5 times 100. I'm gonna lose $500 on that, right? But
Hmm.
I'm going to make on this. I'm gonna make on that. So even if it was $1,000 that I lost on that on a hedge, if I can make
Hmm.
72 on the other, I'm happy with that, right? I'm happy
Hmm.
with losing on my hedge and making on my positions. Because my
Hmm.
positions represent a lot more than how much I can potentially lose on that hedge, even if it went up $100. I don't expect it to go up $100 within the next, 3 weeks, but maybe it will, right? And if it does, I can also scale out of it, right? So for example, let's say these deltas now become the complete opposite. Maybe, I go to a positive a positive 10. So then I can buy one of these. I have two on right now. Can buy one of these back, and then it will drop my deltas by 5 again. So instead of being positive 10, I'll be positive 5. So I can scale in and out of those micro ones very easily. And then I have this micro one on in the Russell. It's a little weird. It's M2K, but this is the Russell as well. I have a negative one here, so that's short. This right here, these two in the ME is positive, so they're offsetting each other. So it's $5 a point for the Russell, and it's $5 a point for the M in the ES there. So the MES, so it's $10 basically a point since I have two on the MES and then one on. So if they're going opposite like they are right now, then it's offsetting each other, right? So you can see that I'm making money here on the Russell because it's down right now, and it's been an amazing vehicle to trade. I'm going to try to load up in that more in my fund. I've obviously have really super loaded up on that because it's just been a great vehicle to trade based on these indexes. It has the two-sided action. These other ones, it just seems to just go up, and then when it goes down, it's not very long or not very much. So anyway, this is how I use these micros. I use these. I can use these micros in a small account. In my fund, I use the E minis, um, but because they never had these micros before. But I like these micros because you can scale out of them easily, and you can reduce your deltas a little less. If I was buying the E mini ES, it would be 50 points if I'm buying at 50 long deltas, I'm selling at 50 short deltas. So that changes quite a bit, right? If you buy the small one, it's you're only going to change your deltas by 5 either direction, positive or negative, and it's static. It's going to stay that way. So as the market goes down, right? If you have put spreads on that's hedging you, those are going to work to a certain extent, but it's dynamic. They're going to stop working at a while at a point. But um, this MES, if I was shorted, it will continue to work as it goes down. And in this case, it's going to continue to work as it goes up. So, and the Fed's going to come out at 1. We're going to see some volatility around that time, and no one expects them to increase rates. It's only going, it's going to stay the same, and they're going to probably have some forecasts, what they're going to do, and I'm sure they're not going to do anything this year. And if they do something this year, it's going to be a cut because this market is got them, got them hypnotized or something or whatever. Whenever the market goes down, they cry we need a rate uh, decrease, right? And then when the market is going up, it's no one's crying about anything, I guess.
No,
But anyway,
more easy money. More easy
yeah,
money. Hey,
yeah.
O'Brien. So my understanding of this is
Mm,
okay. If I'm looking at my own account and
uh-huh.
I see, say, in this particular case, the option
Mm,
buying power was low before we
mm,
started. The deltas
mm,
were pretty short,
mm.
and you looked at your extrinsic. So, are those the kind of keys I need to look at my own account to say, well, whether or not adding a micro would be sufficient or not? I mean, it's
Yes,
those are
yes.
the basically keys. Like, okay, if my option buying power is a little low, and my delta is maybe a little too short or too long, and then my extrinsic still looks good, then perhaps this is something that I can use as well.
That is correct, but just understand that you're gonna lose on one of them, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
hopefully you win on your short positions because you have time on your side, right? So you just kind
Mm-hmm.
of estimate, like I was just doing right now. You estimate how much you would willing to lose on your hedge. And for me, I'm willing to lose. If the ES went up $100, I'm okay with that. Even if I lost $1,000 on it. I'm okay with that if during that time I was able to make the super majority of this. Because if I am,
Mm-hmm.
then obviously this is going to change pretty quickly. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the goal. But I'm betting that the ES is probably going to, most likely in the next 3 weeks, maybe it goes up 50 points. And and it goes up, in a manner that these short positions the premium start to come out of it, right? Because you're going to see that later today. The market, the VIX is down right now, but it's still kind of elevated some of this premium in these accounts. When the announcement is over, especially around maybe 2:30, they're gonna have a conference actually they don't do the conference today. I don't believe. If they do the conference, then it's going to be one. It's for an hour starting at 1:30 Central Standard Time. Usually around that time you see the premium really come out of the options. So we'll see if that's the case again today. All right. Any other questions
Okay.
before we conclude? All right. Awesome. Awesome. If I will put this on our YouTube channel sometime today. And if you have some questions later about it, please let me know. But um, I appreciate everyone joining me for this quick little review of the account. Talk to you soon.